Hello, Ivy here. This week's podcast is entitled Never Underestimate the Power of the Mind, episode 95. Introduction. This week's podcast takes an overview of how UK media have viewed and described Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, since childhood, covering his childhood years and ongoing trauma since the loss of his mother, through his Eton years, through his military years, and the unwanted media attention which he had to endure at various periods, including in the middle of live, on-the-ground, war-zone activity. All to then go on to publish cynical articles about their experiences. Harry's location was twice given away to the media during his 10 years in the military, and both times he had to be called back to civilian royal life. Deliberate actions on behalf of the British royal family, I am sure. UK media needed him back. They needed their prey back. When it came to meeting a USA actress who was a high achiever and a high-scoring academic, a multilingual activist and a strong feminist, UK media were shocked. It was clear that they did not know quite what to write, or how to describe this potential partnership. One royal media pundit confidently said that this was just a fling. A royal would not marry an actress or someone from the USA. And although he did not use any words to describe Meghan's ethnicity, all the royal reporters did eventually go down that road, within days of hearing that Meghan was Harry's girlfriend. It was obviously a factor. But, as always, people who honestly felt that way, most called it anything else but factors about being non-white and a potential member of the all-white royal family. The Daily Mail, in under a week, stated on their front page that Harry's girl is straight outta Compton. Soon there were articles referring to the UK royal blue blood being tainted and watered down by exotic DNA. The articles became much worse in the next 6 months, leading to a statement from Prince Harry calling out the double standards and the obvious racist rhetoric. The next 3 years, UK media doubled down on the Sussexes, Meghan in particular, and in so doing were adding to a range of concerns that Prince Harry obviously had about the press coverage of Meghan. The impact on both of their mental health status was beginning to take effect. A deliberate ploy by UK media, no doubt on behest of the British royal family, to break Meghan's spirit and to get her to walk away from everything to do with UK royal life. The media threw into the mix their wishes to have the old Harry back. The fun Harry. The same fun Harry that they reported on when he was out socialising and criticised him heavily for it. But now, as Harry was not their target in this equation, he was berated by the press. But in reality, their focus was on destroying Meghan and ignoring her cries for help with her suicidal ideations when she was pregnant with Archie. UK media continued with their onslaught, never once considering Harry's feelings about the treatment of his girlfriend. There was clearly an assumption that Harry would get over it and would never put anything above the British royal family. One of the many mistakes the partnership between the British royal family and royal reporters made about this couple. It was clear from quite early on that both groups recognised Meghan's strength and how much she valued herself. I am sure that they knew it would not be easy. But I am equally sure that the British royal family never once thought they would fail to send Meghan packing. Their biggest mistake was constantly pushing Harry into a corner, in the belief that he would fold and become compliant again. The forces against the Sussexes underestimated big time the psychological forces at play in these scenarios that they continued to construct, and the mind that they thought they were weakening was growing in strength. I have included a few stages of how the mind processes experiences and how it can eventually lead to strength and resolve beyond the imagination or expectation of the abusers involved. Make no mistake, all those involved in trying to break down this couple or be the cause of the end of a life were and are all abusers. Tried to make Harry walk away from his then wife and their unborn first child by forcing him into a metaphorical corner where it was deemed he had next to no options to come out of the said corner. Just like most sentient beings, you can only push a person so far, and should they come out fighting, the abuser should take heed that nothing that occurs from here on in is a last moment thought, especially when you are dealing with a high achieving veteran. The FA and finding out phase was underway, and the UK British royal family and its media were about to enter into the find out stage. The push into that metaphorical corner continued, as we shall briefly describe, but the exit out of that corner was like an explosion going off. The UK-based abusers were not ready, but now it matters not if they have accepted their fate. There is no denial that Harry has left the building, and the mirage of a small victim fighting against a Herculean foe was just that. And now the roles have reversed, and the small human has grown so much that he is Herculean himself, but this time with his strength growing each day, and has risen to added iconic global glory, which has resulted in Meghan and Harry are not only out of reach and control of the British royal family and royal reporters, but they are continuing to grow in stature, and every poison arrow sent their way from Bitter Island, otherwise known as the UK, always returns to sender, with the poison now even more potent than when it was originally sent out. This podcast will give an overview about the power of the mind and the indicators showing at what stage in this fight back stage the couple were in at various points. This next section is just a few lines because it is based on a reference source, which is a long document that I have listed at the end of the article. But the heading for this particular article struck me and it stood out. It very much reminded me of that it could actually pertain to Harry at certain points. So the heading is one thing, and then I'll just go on to say the actual document is in the reference sources. I'm not going to read it out or read a section from it. It's worth just looking up yourselves if you are interested. So the heading is, why is it when I fight back, I go from being the victim to being the abuser? But they can hurt me for 34 years and never suffer any consequences. End of that quote. You see what I mean? When I sort of read that, it just jumped out the page for me. So hopefully you will find that particular entry of interest. And I go on to say, this is not a quote from Prince Harry, but from a member of the public with a narcissistic parent. And I have listed the source. It was on another social media platform, but the headline I thought was worthy to be included in this. The next section, a brief outline. The way the UK media described Prince Harry publicly since childhood. Here is a list of descriptions that UK media have used to describe Prince Harry at various stages of his life, including his childhood, teenage years, military service, and his current role as a married family man. 1. The Rebel Prince. Prince Harry gained a reputation for his rebellious nature and occasional controversial behaviour during his younger years. 2. The Party Prince. Media often portrayed him as a party-loving royal, frequently seen at social events and nightlife hotspots. 3. The Soldier Prince. During his military service, Prince Harry was often described as a dedicated and courageous soldier serving multiple tours in Afghanistan. 4. The Charitable Prince. Following his military career, Prince Harry focused on charitable endeavours, including the founding of the Invictus Games and his work in raising awareness for mental health. 5. The Adventurous Prince. With a love for adrenaline-fueled activities and travel, Prince Harry was often depicted as an adventurous individual, embracing challenges and exploring new experiences. 6. The Romantic Prince. When Prince Harry's relationship was in the spotlight, media portrayed him as a romantic figure, particularly during his courtship and marriage to Meghan. Yet, at the same time, royal reporters moaned that Harry had changed since he got married. He used to spend more time with them when on tour, and he had now become woke since meeting Meghan. That pretty much sums up all of that group without me having to say anything else. 7. The Modern Prince. Prince Harry has been hailed as a member of the royal family who embraces progressive ideas and challenges traditional norms, advocating for issues such as mental health and environmental sustainability. Yet, as it was becoming clear that Harry was a responsible husband and father and was building a family life, their fake praise and descriptions of Prince Harry very quickly turned into weapons, which the royal reporters tried to use to bring Harry down. Zero concern about the impact on his mental health, to name but one thing that they tried to implement, and disguised it as reminding him of his duty to the royal family. The Protective Father. Since becoming a father, Prince Harry has been portrayed as a loving and protective dad, often highlighting his commitment to raising his children with care and attention. Again, when it became clear that Meghan and his children are his priority, and not the firm, fatherhood in Harry's style was despised, not praised. Other people in the British royal family put the firm above their spouses and children. Harry not doing the same gave them an added reason to try and end the marriage. The naive view was held that if the marriage broke up, Meghan would leave and the old Harry would return to being the footstool of the family again. Naive is the politest word I can use for a description of the behaviour of the royal family and their media partners. 9. The Philanthropic Prince. Prince Harry's dedication to philanthropy and his commitment to making a positive impact on society has earned him praise from media outlets, but not so much in the UK. The UK version of being involved in charity is to do performative activities and be available for photo opportunities, but to do nothing that can be measured other than the number of times a royal turns up for photo ops and smiles to people. As they admit, they can give nothing else, only best wishes and smiles. Those things really help to put food on the table and provide heat for homes, to name just a couple of things that UK monarchy feel comfortable telling members of the public. The complete opposite of Harry and Meghan. Number 10. The brave prince. Prince Harry's decision to take legal action against UK media outlets, challenging their unethical practices, has been lauded as an act of bravery and a stand against invasive media scrutiny. It takes tremendous courage to do what Harry and Meghan have done relating to taking on UK media. With the current ongoing legal process involving around 100 people, including Harry, regardless of the outcome of this case, Harry has won already in the eyes of the public around the world. Not least now, there is a public official record of who has done what and where, etc. There is a huge leap from the position before. Now it is recorded in a place of law, forevermore for future generations to read about and to know what took place, as opposed to the hundreds of books written by people with their own agenda and with the bottom line that all members of the British royal family must be seen in a positive light. That myth has well and truly been blown out of the water once and for all. Here are some common psychological stages that humans may go through when feeling cornered or under extreme pressure. 1. Alarm. This initial stage is characterized by a sudden realization of the threat or danger. It triggers the fight or flight response, where the body prepares to either confront or escape the situation. Physiological changes such as increased heart rate, rapid breathing, and heightened senses may occur. 2. Denial or disbelief. In this stage, individuals may initially deny or have difficulty accepting the reality of the situation. They might try to minimize the threat or convince themselves that it's not as severe as it seems. Denial serves as a psychological defense mechanism to protect oneself from overwhelming emotions. 3. Anger and frustration. As the reality of the threat sets in, individuals may start experiencing intense anger and frustration. They may direct these emotions towards the perceived source of the threat, or externalize their feelings. This stage often involves a surge of energy and a desire to retaliate or fight back. 4. Bargaining. In an attempt to regain control or find a way out, individuals may enter a stage of bargaining. They may make promises to themselves, a higher power, or even the people they perceive as a threat, hoping that by doing so, they can avoid or mitigate the negative outcome. Bargaining can involve seeking compromises or making deals to alleviate the pressure. 5. Depression. If the previous stages do not lead to a resolution, individuals may experience a sense of helplessness, hopelessness, and despair. The weight of the situation can lead to a state of depression characterised by a loss of motivation, low mood, withdrawal from activities, and a general feeling of sadness or emptiness. 6. Acceptance and adaptation. With time, individuals may gradually come to accept the reality of their situation. They recognise the limitations and constraints they face and begin to shift their focus towards finding ways to cope and adapt. Acceptance does not necessarily imply giving up, but rather acknowledging the circumstances and exploring strategies to move forward. And a few subheadings in this section. 1. Once Harry and Meghan decided to step back from royal duties and make a new life away from the confines of the UK, and more than anything move somewhere that would enable them to heal slowly and to protect their mental health. The risk to their lives, including that of their firstborn at that time, was increasing with each passing day. There were real proven risks and people out there aiming to harm them on a frequent basis. 2. Life was made very difficult for them in the first year of detaching from the controlling and dangerous conditions by their own families, but particularly the British royal family. The other family had tried most of their damage control by order of the first 3 years of the relationship. And once that did not work, and a marriage and a baby had occurred, the British royal family took over the seek and destroy tactics that we all know about and do not need to be repeated again on this channel. All done via their partners in the media as part of the invisible contract. It was clearly done to put the Sussex family in more danger, without their own security and no funds. Yet again, the British royal family underestimated Meghan's wealth and her own connections. The Sussexes moved to another location outside of Canada, moved to California. Once again, the royal family leaked the location to the press, who in turn joined forces with paparazzi and tried to hound the family out of their California property and force them back to the UK. 3. Whilst the royal family were still reeling from the shock of this latest move, and the royal family's latest shenanigans going up in smoke, they had yet to truly accept that working so hard to back the Sussexes into a corner so tightly that they would beg to leave it, and would return to known abuse by known abusers back on UK soil. 4. The next work of genius from Harry and Meghan was to buy their first home together and to move in for almost 2 months before the UK found out about it. An absolute quality move. The Sussexes move with stealth in everything that they do. They assess the situation, plan a course of action, involve all the key stakeholders, plan how it will roll out and when, let people know when it is all sorted. This applies in their projects and how they conduct their day-to-day lives. The UK hear about it, just like the rest of the world, when the communications team release a notice or statement about things. And on to the conclusion. Having a military background can potentially impact the way a person responds when feeling cornered or under threat. Military training often instills certain qualities and skills that can influence an individual's approach to difficult situations. Here are some ways in which a military background might impact someone's response. 1. Disciplined mindset. Military training emphasizes discipline, self-control, and adherence to protocols. Individuals with a military background may be more likely to maintain a composed mindset, think critically, and make calculated decisions when faced with adversity. 2. Training in tactics and strategy. Military personnel are trained in various tactics and strategies to overcome challenges and accomplish objectives. This training can provide them with a repertoire of problem-solving skills, situational awareness, and the ability to assess risks and opportunities. They may be more adept at analysing their options and choosing the most effective course of action. 3. Familiarity with high-stress environments. Military personnel often operate in high-stress environments that require them to stay focused and perform under pressure. This exposure can develop resilience, the ability to adapt to changing circumstances, and the capacity to function effectively in challenging situations. They may be less likely to panic or become overwhelmed when confronted with a threatening scenario. 4. Teamwork and leadership skills. Military training emphasizes teamwork and leadership development. Individuals with a military background may be more inclined to seek support from others, delegate tasks, and rally a team to work towards a common goal. They may also have experience in coordinating efforts and making quick decisions in high-stakes situations. 5. Risk assessment and risk management. Military personnel are often trained to assess risks and make decisions based on risk management principles. They are taught to evaluate the potential consequences of their actions and to prioritize safety and mission success. This ability to assess risks and consider potential outcomes can influence their approach when faced with a difficult situation. It's important to note that while a military background can provide individuals with valuable skills and perspectives, not all individuals with a military background will respond in the same way. Individual differences, personal traits, and experiences outside of military training can also shape how a person reacts to being cornered or under threat. This is just a brief outline of the thinking and planning that can go on when a person is cornered and made to feel trapped. The British royal family and the rest of the firm continue to use tactics from a playbook that is no match for modern ways of strategic planning. The UK royal family also are not known for having people within it with a good education, as opposed to an expensive one, and any modicum of ideas about the real world outside the royal bubble. Females in that family are developed from an early age to be Stepford clones, and women entering that family are usually selected for the vast area of non-productive space between their ears, and are there merely to be a decoration on photo opportunities and to replicate the handmaiden's tale in its entirety. The institution is so far behind logical thinking and is out of touch with the real suffering going on inside this country called the UK, then it is no wonder that the only reason that these societal groups at the top of the societal structure here in the UK exist is because they each ensure that the others exist, because it is becoming less so that the general public are voting for them to exist. At the moment, the age profile of royalist supporters is that 75% of them are over the age of 65. The other end of the spectrum is that people aged 20 or under account for a single figure in terms of percentage, i.e. less than 10%, see the need or desire for a monarchy. So, at the moment, the royal family, the media, printed and televised, government, police and aristocracy look after each other. It is a revolving door between all groups in terms of key posts. There is coming a time in the not too distant future where that will not be enough. So think on. Harry and Meghan had the fortitude to seek ways to escape out of their corner. But future generations will have the power of the people to ensure that what has taken place over the last 100 years at least will never be allowed to take place again. Never mind the previous 900 years when it was questionable at various points. British royal family and UK media, you have never ever welcomed Meghan. And you have never truly loved Harry. You used him for your own ends. The moment you realised that he had escaped and was not returning, you all immediately treated the Sussexes like runaway slaves. In that period, you put their lives at risk. You actively continued to push Meghan to suicidal ideations. Archie was born despite your actions. Your actions then caused a subsequent miscarriage when the abuse continued on another continent. You all made them feel anything but welcome. Now they have 2 children who are safe from your clutches and who already know what it is like to be loved unconditionally. All those societal groups mentioned in this and several podcasts on this channel are responsible for the state of the UK, particularly since 2016. Be careful who you push into corners with the intention of forcing them to do your bidding. Never, ever underestimate the power of the mind. I will end this podcast with a quote from one of my favourite authors, Maya Angelou. And the quote is as follows: I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did. But people will never forget how you made them feel. End of quote. And that's the end of this week's podcast. As per usual, look forward to reading your comments after the broadcast and throughout the week. So speak to you soon. It's bye from me. Bye from Ivy. Bye.